What's up, Psych Perspectives? Let's talk about privilege. What is privilege, first of all? Again, I'm not leaving links anymore. Go on Google. Information is at your fingertips. In the day of the internet age, you are literally being willfully ignorant at this point. Anyways, you can go on Google and type in privilege. Okay. What is privilege? A special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular person or group. Okay, so advantage, right, benefit, prerogative, entitlement, birthright. These are, synonyms. Okay. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because we keep having these discussions of what is white privilege? What is cisgender privilege? What is heterosexual privilege? What is class privilege? What is educational privilege? So I'm going to list off some of the privileges that I have. Number one, I'm college educated. I have 4 college degrees. I have an educational privilege. Number 2, I'm able-bodied. Well, I'm able-bodied physically. I have mental health issues, but I'm still functioning for the most part, right? So I can walk, I can talk, I can move, I can think, I can function. I'm able-bodied, okay? Okay, let's see. Number 3, I'm right-handed. Right hand privilege. Okay? Number 4, class privilege, right? So, which is touchy, but I still consider myself having that privilege because my grandparents, college educated, they own property, own land, real estate. They were able to pass that wealth and knowledge to my mother and uncle and to me. So I still see it as being class privilege. Okay? I'm an American citizen, United States of American citizen. So I have a birthright privilege in the United States of America. I am a natural born citizen. That is a privilege. Okay? I speak English. That is a privilege. All right? And once again, these are things that are granted or special right or immunity granted or available to me because of the group I'm a part of, because I, have money. My grandparents have money. I'm able-bodied. These are things that you didn't work for. You didn't work for. You didn't get it because you were a great person. It just happened. Okay? Now, when you look at things from a sociological lens perspective, and again, my education background, sociology, social sciences, that's my background. Public policy, U.S. history and politics, etc. That's my background. So looking at it from a sociological standpoint, white people have white privilege. You have an entire society that is based around your happiness for the most part. You're not the one getting police discrimination. You didn't have an entire hate group, the Ku Klux Klan, going around lynching you. You didn't have, generations of your family being enslaved, being taken away from their native origin, their home, and placed in a foreign land, foreign country, and forced to be slaves for 4 centuries. Then after that, dealing with the new era, the Reconstruction era after the Civil War, and then Jim Crow, and basically Jim Crow and apartheid and everything else. And then here we are in 2019, and we're still dealing with police brutality. People are still being discriminated against because of their skin color, their race, and their ethnicity, because they're not white, because they're not European. Okay? If you're able-bodied, the entire world is set up for you. Okay? You don't have to figure out how you're going to open the door, if you're going to be able to enter the building, how far the parking lot is from the entrance to the building, if there's going to be staircases, are there elevators. These are things that able-bodied people are not thinking about because they don't have to. Where someone who has a physical disability or a mental disability or both really has to struggle out here because, again, most buildings are not really accommodating for people who are not able-bodied. Okay? Most jobs, most schools, etc. Life is not set up for people with disabilities. Now, are we moving forward towards a more racially inclusive and supporting world? We are. Are we moving closer to a more inclusive world for people with physical and or mental disabilities? We are, but we've got a hell of a long way to go, and we should be doing way better in 2019. Okay? People who are left-handed. Think about it. They gotta write a certain way, and notice when they're writing with pens, they're constantly getting pinned, ink, all on their hand because it's made for right-handed people because the vast majority of the world is right-handed. So you think about that. If you're a left-handed person, think about the disadvantages a left-handed person has to deal with, okay? Just think about it. If you're class privileged, if you're wealthy, you're rich, you're financially stable, and like I said, you're a part of the 1%, 2%, you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, millions of dollars a year, hey, you might even be a billionaire. You don't have to figure out where you're gonna live. Are you gonna have food? Are you gonna have clothes? Are you gonna have shelter? You can buy any car you want. You can have all the health insurance you want. You can go to any school you want. Everything is open to you because you have wealth, you have money, you have capital. That is class privilege. Think about people who don't have that privilege. Think about people who are lower income, working poor, working class, lower middle class, lower class, middle class. They don't have that abundance. Me personally, as an individual without my family, I'm in the working class. I'm barely making ends meet. Most of us have to work 2 and 3 jobs to try and barely make ends meet. We've got student loans. If we were all wealthy, none of us would have student loans because we would be able to pay for college out of pocket. Most people cannot because college is astronomical. Another thing, most people cannot afford health insurance out of their own pocket because it's extremely expensive. So that class privilege really opens doors to you. Think about people who don't have that, all right? And that's my point. Heterosexual privilege. Again, the entire world is about a man and a woman who are cisgendered, who are attracted to the opposite gender, okay? So a man liking a woman liking a man, great. But if you are a man liking a man or a woman liking a woman, or you like everybody regardless of their gender identity, then guess what? You're going to run into problems. You're going to run into people throwing religion in your face and saying you're going to burn in hell because Sodom and Gomorrah. Even though most of you haven't even read religious texts completely through, you like to cherry pick, which, hey, that's your right if you want to do so, but it also makes you extremely ignorant. Anyways, that's what I'm talking about. I'm transgendered, so for me, I was literally born in the wrong body. I do not identify as a female. I do not identify as a woman. I identify as a transgendered man, trans-masculine person. That is a disadvantage when you're sitting up dealing with cisgendered folks who there's more of them, there's more cisgendered people in the world, and therefore the world is set up for cisgendered people. For trans people, we don't have to, but many of us do end up having to get physical surgeries, bottom surgeries, top surgeries, and guess what? You better have health insurance. And how do you get health insurance if you don't have class privilege, or you don't have a decent job, or people are not paying you a living wage, or you don't have an education? Makes it very difficult, okay? Then on top of the fact of the blatant discrimination, harassment, death threats, and people being murdered simply because they're living their lives, yes, trans women of color are more likely to be murdered than anybody in the LGBTQ plus community and really the world when you sit down and think about it. Okay? This is what I mean by recognize your privileges, consider the privileges you have, and use your privileges in a positive outlook. Use your privileges to help other people. Okay? The way I like to look at things personally is I like to use my privileges to help others who don't have my privilege with the hope that one day my privileges will become basic human rights for everyone. But that's just me. Again, take it or leave it. I'm not here to preach to the choir. I'm just saying privilege is real. I have privileges and I also have underprivileges. And many of us are like that, okay? It really is a spectrum in a way. Anyways, let me know what you think. I'm out.